I am Graciela Aide de Guzman.
And Ojan Esleyan.
I'm Trisha Macy de la Cruz.
We are the Group 7 and we are going to report the materials handling and storage. So without further ado, let's just get started. So before I start, the objectives of this presentation are the following. Discuss the two types of materials handling and principle of materials storage. Second, to demonstrate the proper lifting of materials. And third is to enumerate the different types of materials handling equipment. So first, let me define what is materials handling and storage. So it is a technique which includes the art of lifting, placing, storing, or movement of materials through the use of one physical strength or appropriate handling equipment. So materials handling and storage, it is the movement, protection, storage, and control of materials and products throughout the manufacturing, distribution, consumption, and disposal. So there are two types of materials handling. It is the manual materials handling and mechanical materials handling. So let me go first to manual materials handling. So what is manual materials handling? So it is the moving or handling things by lifting, lowering, pushing, pulling, carrying, holding, or restraining using one's physical strength. It is also the most common cause of occupational fatigue, low back pain, and lower back injuries. Manual materials handling, this is the process of moving of an object manually using our physical force. So because this is moving of an object manually, this can cause occupational fatigue, lower back pain injuries, maybe because of improper lifting. That's why later on I will teach you the proper lifting of materials. Manual materials handling is always hazardous, but the level of hazards depends on what you are handling, what the task is, what the conditions are at the workplace or work sites. For example, the materials or loads that you are handling is maybe too heavy for the task that you are doing. So if you are given a task to carry the boxes from first floor to third floor, and that boxes are too heavy to carry, that is dangerous for a worker, because a worker might fall on the stairs due to the weight of the boxes he was carrying. Next, the material may be located too high or too low for a safe lift. So when a worker is going to lift something that is located too high or too low, the worker could have muscle pain, depends on how long they will carry the material before they can lift it. Next is the material may be wet, slippery, or have sharp edges that makes it hard to grasp. So these are the objects that are difficult to hold firmly, and the worker could have a hard time to carry it properly. Next is it is unstable or can shift its center of gravity because the contents may flow. So, for example, the partially filled drum. So because it is partially filled, the weight of the drum will go in the different sides when it's already carried by the worker. The shifting of gravity can be brought the body of the worker holding onto it. Next, the material may be too big to let you see where you are putting your feet. So if the material is too big that you are unable to see anymore, this can cause accidents because of being unaware of the place. So let's proceed to the task that can make manual materials handling hazardous if a worker uses poor lifting techniques. Example of poor lifting techniques is lifting too fast, too low with back bend. That's why the worker should practice the lifting techniques to avoid accident. Next, when the worker has to move the materials over the long distances. So when the worker needs to move a bunch of boxes over a long distance, and by that situation, it could lead to an accident. Especially when the worker's knees gets weak, the worker may slip on the floor before they could even put the materials to where it's supposed to be. Next, if a worker does not take appropriate rest breaks. So if you are from long duty and you didn't take a break, your body is already weak and it can carry any materials anymore. Maybe you can, but it will not stay any longer. That's why you should take a break before to decide to work again. Always remember that rest is as important as working hard. Next, if a worker has insufficient recovery time. So if you get injured, take your time to fully recover because that situation may get worse if you insist to work immediately without being fully healed. Next, if a worker has a combination of handling tasks, do not take advantage of our body. Stop multitasking. For example, you are carrying in your right hand and at the same time you are lowering something in your left hand. And that can cause accidents or injuries if we keep doing that. Now let's talk about the work sites that may contribute to hazard and may result in injuries. So, first, surfaces that are uneven, sloping, wet, icy, slippery, unsteady, etc. So when we say surface that are uneven, these are the floor that are not smooth and not aligned to each other. So having this floor, this may cause worker to stumble or slip because of having that floor. So to avoid accident, we should keep the floor of our workplace steady and smooth. Next, differences in floor levels or elevation. This could be the floor levels where there's a ceiling that is high and on the other side there's a ceiling that is low. So the worker will be having a hard time to carry the materials if the elevation is not right. Next is poor housekeeping. Poor housekeeping can be cause of incidents such as tripping over loose objects on the floor, being hit by the falling objects, sleeping on greasy, wet, or dry surfaces. Next is inadequate lighting. Too much or too light can be strain our eyes and can cause eye discomfort and headache. That's why the lighting of our workplace should be just right to avoid dizziness. Next is windy condition. Eye injuries from dust and debris in the air may reduce the visibility of the worker. Lastly, fast pace of work. A fast pace of work environment where things happen very quickly and activity is continuous throughout the day. So we all know that the accident frequently happen when things go fast and the worker forgets to think their safety anymore. So now let's proceed to the demonstration of proper lifting of an object. First, always remember in lifting a material, always give the weight on your legs because our legs are strong and our back is weak. Stand close behind the load, place your foot beside the load and bend the hips and knees and keep your back straight. When lifting a material, grasp the load with elbow inside the thighs. Grasp with one hand at the outer, upper corner and on the other hand on the lower, opposite corner. Lean forward with the rear arm straight. This position gets the load moving. Stand up by thrusting off with the back leg and continuing in an upward and forward direction. Keep the load close to the body and keep the rear arm straight. Move off without twisting the body. When putting a load down, take a wide stance with one foot in front of the other. Keep the load close to the body and keep the back straight. Bend the hips and knees. Set the load down onto the ground. Remove finger from under the load. Lastly, stand up smoothly to ease the muscles. When lifting a compact bags, straddle the end of the bag, bend the hips and knees, and keep the back straight. Grasp the bag with both hands under the closer end. Lean forward and readjust the feet closer to the bag. Readjust the grasp with one hand clasping the bag against the body and the other one under it. Stand up by thrusting off with the back leg and continuing in an upward and forward direction. Thrust the bag up with the knee while straightening the body. Put the bag on the shoulder opposite the knee used to thrust the bag up. Stabilize the bag on the shoulder. Move off without bending sideways. When lowering the bag, avoid unloading a bag from the shoulder directly to the floor level. Use a platform or get help from your co-worker. Stand close to the platform. Place one foot in the front of the platform. Bend hips and knees while keeping the back straight. Ease the bag off the shoulder and put it upright on the platform. Pull the bag slightly over the edge of the platform. Stand close to the platform with the back touching the chest. Clasp the bag against the body with one hand
and the other hand holding the bottom of the bag. Step back, bend the hips and knees, keeping the back straight. And finally, ease the bag on the floor.
Now, let's proceed to the other types of materials handling, which is the mechanical materials handling. So, mechanical materials handling, this is the movement of an object by mechanical force. Heavy materials that is not safe to handle manually should be done by mechanical means. Though this is way safer than manually, we should still knowledgeable about it. That's why here are the tips when using mechanical aids. So here I have 4 tips when using mechanical aids. First, check for the availability of mechanical aids before lifting or moving loads. So before lifting of an object, check first the quality of an equipment if it's available to be used. Otherwise, don't use it. Second, keep the equipment in good operating condition. It saves effort while transporting loads. In working, time is very essential. That's why we need to keep the equipment in good condition for the continuity of doing the task. Third, select the right equipment to complete the task. So meaning, just pick up an equipment that is necessary for the task that you are doing. And lastly, do not operate any equipment if you are not trained to use that equipment. Basically, don't use any equipment if you don't know how to use it to avoid accidents and uncertainties. Now, let's proceed to the next reporter to enumerate the different types of materials handling equipment.
Hi, I'm Trish. And now, oh wait a second. Wait. Hi, I'm Trish, and I will be the one reporting the materials handling equipment. So before that, thank you Ms. De Guzman for that wonderful report of yours. So to start, what is material handling equipment? So materials handling equipment is any tool used to aid in the movement, protection, storage, controls of materials. And it can be broken down into 4 categories. And each category has a wide variety of equipment used to safely move heavy materials easier. So first is the storage handling equipment. So it is usually limited to non-automated equipment, and it is used to store or hold materials while they wait to be transported from the manufacturer to their final destination. So here are some examples of storage handling equipment. We have the racks, the stacking frame, and the mezzanine. So guys, kung nagkaroon kayo ng field trip nung kinder kayo or high school, elementary, alam naman natin na hindi mawawala sa destination yung food manufacturing katulad ng Gardenia, Yakult. And doon tayo makakita ng isa sa mga example ng storage handling equipment. And yun yung racks. Kasi after mo mag-produce ng thousands of breads a day, hindi mo siya pwedeng kung saan-saan lang ilagay inside the factory. Lalo na't pagkain siya. Kasi isa yun sa magiging... Kasi kung saan mo lang siya ilalagay, pwede siya magkaroon ng dumi, defectives, na makaka-apekto sa customer. So after they produce thousands of bread, they store it in storage equipment like the racks to keep it safe. And next is the stocking frame. So para saan ba yung stocking frame? So stocking frame is used for materials or products that are fragile because it avoid crashing. Kaya meron siya 'di ba sa dalawang tabi ng bakal para hindi magdikit or hindi mag-crash yung isang product sa isa pang product. And next is the mezzanine. So what are mezzanines are for? So it is used to create additional space. So next is the engineered system. So it covers a variety of units that work cohesively to enable storage and transportation. And here are some examples of engineered system. So conveyor system consists of a frame, either a roller, a wheels, or a belt, upon which materials that move from one place to another. While the automatic guided vehicle, it will now transport the heavy materials around the production floor. So for example, yung conveyor system, kapag yung i-gather mo na yung lahat ng products, syempre, some of food manufacturing or some of the factory, they produce thousands of products a day. And hindi mo siya pwedeng gawin manually. So dito na papasok yung mechanical system or yung automatic system na they are invented by the man but they will work as a man or like a man. Kasi katulad sa conveyor system, hindi kaya ng isang tao na mag-gather ng thousands of products in an hour or in a minute, which a conveyor system can do. And the automatic guided vehicle, if di ba makikita natin sa picture na it can control yung pagbaba and pagtaas ng product. Halimbawa, idadali mo na yung product para store. Eh, sobrang taas minsan ng racks kasi kapag mas mataas yung racks, mas madami siyang pwedeng ma-store na products. Eh, may mga tao na hindi naman kayang ganun abutin. And minsan, it can cause accident pa kapag nalaglag ka. So, papasok dyan yung automatic guided vehicle para tulungan ka mag-transport around the production floor and kaya pa niya itaas yung mga finished products mo sa racks. So the next one is the industrial materials. So industrial material refer to the different kinds of transportation, items and vehicles used to move materials and products in materials handling. So these transportation devices can include small hand-operated trucks, pallet trucks, and various forklifts. So here are some example of industrial material equipments. We have the hand truck, the pallet truck, the side loader, and the order picker. So if you're going to a mall and you will buy heavy appliances like refrigerator, air conditioner, and television. So kapag tapos na siya, nabayaran mo na, merong staff na lalapit para dalhin gamit yung hand truck, yung product na nabili mo. Kasi hindi pwedeng i-lift ng isang tao ang rep or yung conditioner or yung television kasi it can ruin their body posture. Meron tayong proper lifting pero yung mga ganun kalaki na material, hindi na siya pwede yung basta-basta mo na nang bubuhatin. So, after nun, it will transport your product to your destination. For the last part, or for the last one, for the 4 categories, we have the bulk material handling equipment. So bulk material handling equipment refers to the transportation, storing, and control of materials in the loose of bulk form. These materials or products can be food, minerals, liquids, etc. So here are some examples of bulk material handling equipment. First, we have a reclaimer. So, a reclaimer is used to principally reclaiming a process. It can have low, medium, and high flow rates. And for the next one, we have a hopper. So, it is said to be temporary storage for the materials. And it is designed so that stored materials can be easily fed or dumped in the process. The next one is the bucket elevator, which is the most efficient ways of elevating the bulk materials vertically. And for the last one, we have the elevated lift table. So commonly used to position loads at an ergonomic height for packaging and assembly operations to interface for machinery. So that's all. Take it away, Paul.
Oh, it's my turn. What's up, everyone? Now, let's proceed to the principles of material storage, where material storage could easily be neglected at times in an actual work settings. When neglected, it leads to cluttering, piling of material over another material, and obstruction of passageways. Neglecting the material storage is a very bad idea because giving importance and prioritizing the material storage can give you a better quality of materials and prevent it to the damages. It is very common in every electronics company wherein they have a lot of electronics devices, electronics equipments, and especially electronics components that some of them was very sensitive. The idea of having a material storage or a house storage is not just having a big free space area wherein throw you can store everything what you want. The house storage must have at least 2 exits properly illuminated, properly ventilated, and specially restricted access, wherein there is just a few or selected workers that has the authority to manage what inside the material storage, and they have the responsibility to the development of it. So those persons that those persons that have the authority inside the material storage must remember this: store materials at a convenient height, leave the lowest shelf unused if unnecessary, use vertically mobile shelves to avoid bending and overhead reaching. So this is not just about the materials but also the safetyness of the workers to avoid any accidents inside the workplace. In storing materials inside the storage house, you can use bin racks for storing small items to make it more presentable and more organized. Store heavy and frequently used materials at waist height. So this is talks about the safetyness to avoid accidents. Especially this, do not store materials at floor level. Use hand trucks with elevating devices in storage and loading areas. Use trucks with a tilting device to avoid bending. Use elevating platforms to avoid overhead reaching. So instead of doing some tasks manually, why try to make it more convenient for you to make it more easier and more faster to finish your work by using some materials or equipments that can really help you inside the material storage or inside the house storage, like those trucks with the tilting devices, or use elevating platforms to avoid overhead reaching. Now let's talk about the materials handling and safety storage program. To have an effective safety and health program covering materials handling and storing, your managers must take an active role in its development. So it's better to make some development of the material storage, not just for the materials but also for the workers. You must convince first-line supervisors of the importance of controlling hazards associated with materials handling and storing, and hold them accountable for employee training. So, training is a must. An ongoing safety and health management system can motivate employees to continue using necessary protective gear and observing proper job procedures. So even if you already mastered your job or mastered everything inside the material storage or a house storage, you must always wear your protective gear because risk and hazard or accidents is everywhere in a workplace. So it is important to always wear protective gears for your safetyness. And that's all. Thank you.